When Multiversus launched, I made a review on the game. It feels like a lifetime ago, but in reality it was only 8 months. And I think the reason it feels like such a long time since this game had released is because I just don't think about it at all. To say my review was scathing might be an understatement. I had strong feelings on this game, but despite that, the biggest lasting impression the game ever gave me was the algorithm bump I got from the video I made. So today, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about the recent news coming out that Multiversus is dead. Well, it isn't dead yet, but it was just announced that the newest season of content will be its last, and that the game will be shut down on the 30th of May of 2025. Now, it is no secret that the reason that I despised this game so much was due to its very abhorrent monetization scheme. Multiversus, for all its faults, and there were a lot of faults, was still a game that had some amount of care and passion put into it by the people who made it. And even though the player counts weren't great, there are still people playing and enjoying this game for what it is. Like I said in my main video, a dead game benefits nobody, and while I can't say that I'm sad to see this game go, I also can't say that I'm happy either. In fact, I'm a little pissed off. Now, it was stated in the announcement post that this game won't be totally unplayable on shutdown. There still will be some offline capabilities, these being local PvP or solo versus AI, just kind of a party mode. But you can only play those if you install the game and play the game between a certain period of time. This is because the game will be completely removed from digital storefronts after the 30th of May. But some reason you also have to boot the game sometime after the 4th of February when the update comes out to create a local save, which I'm having trouble figuring that one out. Live service games are still a relatively new concept to the gaming landscape, with the death of games being something of a weird topic, because not every game dies the same way, and it's kind of like on a spectrum, ranging from official support ending but the game still retains most of its functionality, to games that are just completely dead and buried. So my guess as to why you need to launch the game sometime between the 4th of February and the 30th of May is because player profile progress was probably never stored locally, which I guess makes sense if you don't want anyone to, fuck with the microtransactions, which means that even if at some point you did spend money on this game and you don't launch it within that, time frame that I just mentioned, whatever you bought is just gone forever, I guess. Like I said earlier, it is pretty easy to forget about this game for long periods of time. And if you somehow miss out on the announcement post, or this video, or any of the videos made, and that would be very easy to do, then this game will just be gone for you forever. And look, I'd like to give this game credit for at least having the game be in a playable state once official support ends, with, all the characters available in offline modes, but why does the entire game just need to be delisted off of storefronts? Like, what is the reason for all of this? My best guess is because of the player profiles being stored on a server that Warner Games or whoever is calling the shots don't want to spend any more money keeping any kind of servers online to keep this process going, or any dev time to implement a better fix that would let new players create profiles after the death date. Like, I know I'm doing a lot of theorizing and guesswork here because only the dev team and the publishers at Warner Games really know what's going on here. And my guesses are based purely on how I perceive the game. I based this on how the monetization system of the game was designed to extract as much money as possible out of players at the detriment to gameplay and progression. And Warner Bros. Games are currently a company that are in a bit of strife after the Suicide Squad, which is another live service game, lost the company somewhere around $200 million. The death of Multiversus once again brings up the question of what is expected to happen when a live service game ends. In an ideal world, the answer should simply be to make the game work offline. And if it were as simple as flipping a switch, I would agree, but it isn't. Games are coded in ways that require a server to operate. It could be for security reasons, or it could be because the server is needed to run a lot of intricate things that make the game function. And look, I could go back and forth on how every game could be saved and the pros and cons to things like handing over server files so it's in the community's hands. It's a bigger topic for a different video, but here's my overall stance. I think that every single video game should be preserved to the best state that it can be. I understand that sometimes this cannot happen due to financial reasons, technical reasons, or whatever. The biggest problem that I see is that these games aren't being built to accommodate for failure. And more so, the state of how the game will be after it's shut down is usually announced with the shutdown. Live service games have the potential to be like absolute gold mines. You know, Fortnite, League of Legends, World of Warcraft at one point, they all make stupid amounts of money. And we've seen live service games fail before, but now we're seeing extremely expensive products like Concord being deleted like only a week after launch. Hundreds of millions of dollars just gone because there was no exit plan. I believe that live service games, more than any other type of game, need these kinds of contingencies. Say for instance you put a plan on your store page that goes into detail about what is going to happen to your game when the live service finishes. It doesn't tell me that you don't expect your game to succeed. It tells me that you thought about what happens if you don't, which tells me that you have put more thought into how you've designed it rather than trying to cash in on the gold rush. Multiversus isn't being left in the worst state that it could be, but it's also not being left in the best state either. As Multiversus dies, I get that same feeling about the game as I did when it launched, and that is it had the potential to be so much better. And while it can be fun to point and laugh at the big greedy company failing again with a soulless cash grab, I like to counter with the fact that this game wasn't soulless. Multiversus was actually an okay game trapped in the body of a corporate greed machine. I never really felt like this game was the one that the developers wanted to make. And sure, the gameplay of the game was a bit too slow for some, and the balance of the characters was never quite figured out, and you can attribute those failures to the developers. But I fail to believe that the people who made this game, and I mean really made this game, you know, the people who designed the movesets of the characters to really match the feel of the characters you're playing as, pay a kind of reverence and homage to them. You know, the art department and the animators who brought all of those things to life. Programmers who made everything work on top of that. I don't believe that those people want the game to be left in the state that it's going to be. There is a good chance that in a year or two that some person is just scrolling through YouTube and comes across gameplay for this platform fighter that's a little bit like Smash Bros, but it's with Warner and DC characters instead of Nintendo characters. Most of the characters have their original voice actors. They have some fun lines of dialogue between each other, but they can't play the game because the servers have shut down. And even though it was a free-to-play game, because of some unexplained reason, it isn't able to be obtained or downloaded anymore. My hope by making this video is not to once again try and boost my presence on the algorithm. I don't expect that to happen, but my hope is that if it does, that I get to warn as many people as possible that if you ever think that you might want to play this game at any point in the future, that you should install and launch this game, you know, sometime between February 4th and May the 30th, so that you can play the game. You know, you might not want to play it now, you might not want to play it 3 months from now, but in case you think you might want to play it a year down the line, then this is what you have to do. I do have another hope, but it's much less realistic. I hope that unlike my first video, that this one ages extremely poorly. I hope that someone, somewhere that matters, sees this and course corrects how this game dies. I don't expect this game to live forever, but it doesn't have to end like this. This is what I'd like to see happen, and I'm going to order this from most realistic to least. First is to keep the game available on storefronts. Keep the game downloadable. Why shouldn't someone who wants to play this game be able to play a game that was free to play? Second is to implement a way for cosmetics to be obtainable through the game, now that purchases are now disabled and seem like they're effectively unobtainable content from this point forward. This, in theory, shouldn't be hard, but I know it's probably the most unrealistic due to who the publishers of this game are and their track record. Maybe even set a price point that unlocks everything if you still want to somehow make money off this game. You know, $20, you can have everything now. Why not? The last thing on my list of what I'd like to see happen is to find a way for online PvP to continue to work via peer-to-peer connections, without the need to connect to some kind of master server. That's it. If those things were to happen, I would be happy, because even though Multiversus didn't live up to its potential during its lifetime, the best aspects of the game could still be enjoyed by anyone who wanted to experience it after it died. But at the moment, it's going to look like the game is going to be left in a somewhat okay state for the people who bothered to install it and launch it during the limited time window that they had, and the others who didn't missed out forever, and thus also killing any kind of chances of a resurgence of popularity that this game may ever get via, game tournaments or content creators or anything. After Multiversus dies, the most realistic thing that is going to happen is that we will see a few fan revival projects to make the game downloadable after it disappears from all the digital storefronts. Or there will be mods that, unlock the monetization or attempt to recreate the PvP. All will almost certainly be killed by some kind of cease and desist order, and they'll probably have to continue to defend their, intellectual property for much longer than the game initially ran for. And that's not really the legacy I want to see for this game. Despite everything that I hated about this game, there is still something worth saving here. And what is being saved is, it's okay, but it could be better, and it still has time to be better. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, then please consider dropping the video a like, and if you are new and want to see more game reviews or more takes on current gaming events, then feel free to subscribe. Special thanks to my YouTube members, Controlled Killer, Yellow, and Melodia. If you think my content is worth supporting more than just a subscription, then the option is there, perks are on the screen. I also have a community Discord server which is free to enter, as well as a Steam curator page if you want to check that out. Links to everything will be in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.